Hello, everybody. Welcome to my presentation. For that, I'm gonna say Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Let me introduce myself. My name is Muhamad Ramzy Pradipta. The the number is right here. Today, I wanna uh presentation to my Alibaba course material. The title was auto scaling. Learn how to auto scaling work. Okay. So this is here your the course is learning how you actually make auto scaling works. Okay, next one. Okay, this table of content. We actually gonna explain about what is auto scaling function, the scaling concept, scaling consideration, scaling operation of scaling rule, operation of triggering tasks, operation of schedule tasks. Next. All right. What is auto scaling? Autoscaling is cloud computing mechanism that automatically adjusts the amount of computing resource allocated to an application based on current workload demands. The primary goal is to maintain application performance, availability, and cost efficiency without requiring manual intervention. So this is actually all automatic. You don't have to worry about uh scaling is not working because this is actually automatic. Okay. Okay, this is how to auto scaling works. What does auto scaling do? The first one is monitoring or all. You have like the monitoring uh all of that scaling is like the CPU, memory, network usage, or storage, and everything there. Second one is detect traffic change. Identify increase or decrease demand. So auto scaling can track the traffic is going to high or is going to low. Number three is apply a scaling policy. Compare metrics against predefined threshold. Okay, in the auto scaling, we have like the threshold, right? If the traffic is actually going uh, high in the threshold, this auto scaling has actually works. Number four is add or remove instance, visual report, and dashboard. Auto scaling can add automatically instance. So like the resource in the so the your server is not going down when the traffic is going high. Number five is communicating inside to the stakeholder. Okay, you can do. Okay, this is what is that called, the workspace of our scaling process. So we actually can see this as computer requirement and this is time. So this is the traffic like the green line, and this blue line in here is threshold. So and this is the roadmap for data going to the auto scaling. No, it's this going to cloud. So we have PC and mobile is going to server load balancer, and server load balancer is going to the cloud monitor and scaling group in here. And scaling group is actually transferring to RDS. So we actually pay attention to this one. This is actually traffic is going normal. Right. When the traffic hike is or actually past the threshold, this is blue line here. The server load balancer is automatically add a new ECS instances, like the backup for irregular ECS instances. Cause if server load balancer is not going at the ECS instances, the server or the cloud service is going down. Right. All right. Before we go to the next one, we need to make sure The easiest instances is actually in good health. So this is a health check. We have the workspace here. A PC and mobile is going to server load balancer. Server load balancer is add the new easiest instances in scaling group, and after that easiest instances is actually going to checking health like cloud monitor. And if a cloud monitor is giving back uh like no reaction to the easiest instances, it means that that easiest instances is actually healthy. Okay, if the cloud monitor is going to give you like the attention or notification to the easiest instances that easiest instances is not healthy, so cloud monitor is actually going to take out the unhealthy easiest instances to the timeout or maybe the cooldown system for ACS instances like unhealthy ACS instances. Okay. The third one is Cloud Monitor is actually take out the unhealthy ACS instances, right? So the Cloud Monitor is going add additional ACS instances for taking the unhealthy ACS instances. So when the unhealthy ACS instances is going to fix the extra ACS instances is going take out and the unhealthy ACS instances in here after they going fix is going to inside the scaling group again. Alright, this is a auto scaling concept. First one is scaling mode. Scaling mode have like five point in here. First one is fixed number, minimum number of instances, maximum number of instances, and expected number instances. So you can choose whatever you want, like the minimum number of instances and maximum number. Second one is health. So you know the health chain in before, yeah, to be like that. The third one is schedule. A schedule task to automatically execute a scaling rule. So you can schedule your when your auto scaling is actually gonna work. The fourth one is custom. Yeah. That's why I'm talking about. You can custom whatever you want the for the scaling operation or something like that. And last one is dynamic. An event trigger task based on a performance metric monitored by cloud monitor. Next one is auto scaling concept. Okay, there's five. Oh no, six auto scaling concept in here. First one is scaling group. Scaling group is group of elastic computer service or we say ECS instances or elastic container instances for similar business scenario. So this is like the huge group, or maybe if you want to better like uh imagining like you have the folder, right? And in the folder you have many things file. Okay, that's a scaling group. Scaling group is folder. Second one is scaling configuration. Type of instance configuration, source containing configuration information of instance. Okay, in scaling configuration, you can add like maximum or number of ECS instances or minimum number of ECS instances and everything like the cooldown time too. The third one is scaling rule. Trigger a scaling activity or adjust the boundary values of for a scaling group. Scaling rule is actually important because when your traffic is going high, like we say like CPU in 70% is going at on ACS instances, that is scaling a role activity in there. So basically you need to make your own rule like if the CPU is going blah blah blah, then auto scaling is add more ECS instances to back up the main ECS instances. The fourth one is scaling activity. Trigger when a scaling rule is executed or when a ECS instances or ECI is manually added to or removed from the scaling group. Okay, scaling activity is going to works when a scaling rule is actually gonna apply on scaling group. So that means if scaling activity no the scaling rule is actually gonna execute, then scaling activity is gonna execute too. 5.1 is scaling task. Integrate the feature of auto scaling and cloud monitor. And last one is cooldown time. Period when auto scaling cannot trigger new scaling activity after a scaling activity is complete in the scaling group. Okay, cooldown time is basically after a scaling activity doing the his task. You get the cooldown time before scaling activity is going to execute more scaling activity again. So all of five this is actually scaling concept. But when you delete the scaling group, scaling configuration, scaling rule, and scaling activity is going to gone. Except scaling task and cooldown time. Alright, the next thing. Okay, this is auto scaling consideration. Consideration for scaling rule and cooldown time. Scaling rule automatically adjusts the number of ECS instances according to the max size value and the min size value. For example, if the number ECS instances is set to 50 in scaling rule, but the max size value of scaling group is set to 45, the scaling rule only increases the size of the scaling group up to 45 ECS instances. And the second one is cooldown time. During the cooldown period, only scaling activity requests from a cloud monitor alarm tasks are rejected by the scaling group. Other tasks, such as manually execute scaling rule and schedule tasks, can immediately trigger scaling activity without waiting for the cooldown time to expire. The cooldown time starts after the last ECS instances is added to or removed from the scaling group by scaling activity. Next one is consideration for scaling activity. Only one scaling activity can be executed at a time in the scaling group. A scaling activity cannot be interrupted. For example, if a scaling activity to add 20 ECS instances is being executed, it cannot be forced to terminate when only 5 ECS instances have been created. When a scaling activity fails to add or remove ECS instances to or from scaling group, the system maintains the integrity of ECS instances rather than the scaling activity. That is, the system rollback ECS instances, not the scaling activity. For example, if the system has created 20 ECS instances for the scaling group, but only 90 ECS instances are added to the server load balancer instance, the system only released the failed ECS instances. Since autoscaling uses Alibaba Cloud Resource Access Management service to replace ECS instances through the ECS API, the rollback ECS instances will still incur a cost for the time they were running. Scaling rule can automatically adjust the number of ECS instances according to the max size value and the min size value of scaling group. Next one. Next one is operation scaling group. There's 4 points in here. The first one is creation. Automate the adjustment of computing power or specific type based on business requirement and scaling policy. The second one is query and modification. Check and update the scaling group attributes such as the maximum, minimum, and expected number of ECS instances. Third one is remove the scaling configuration, scaling rules, scaling activity, and scaling requests related to the scaling group. And last one is enable or disable scaling group which has an instance configuration source. The next one is operation of scaling configuration. There's three point in here. First one is creation, a template based on which ECS instances are automatically scaled out. Second one is query and modification. Check and update scaling configuration of the easiest type. And the third one is deletion. Remove a scaling configuration. Next one is operation of scaling rule. Operation of scaling rule is have 2 point in here. First one is creation. Specific scaling actions such as adding or removing easiest instances. The second one is modification and deletion. Update and remove a scaling rule. Next one is operation of triggering task. Operation of triggering task is have 3 point in here. The first one is execution. Execute a scaling rule. Second one is attach. Provide server service or restart easiest instances stop in economical mode to provide service. The third one is removal. Delete one or more easiest instances from a scaling group. The next one is operation of scheduled tasks. Operation of scheduled tasks have 2 point in here. First one is creation, implement automatic scaling of computing resource, and the second one is modification and deletion. Update and remove a scheduled task. Okay, this is the certificate proof that I'm actually doing the auto scaling fundamental course in Alibaba Cloud certification. So after this, I'm gonna show you the demonstration of someone who using auto scaling in Alibaba Cloud, because I can going to demo because it need a credit card and I don't have credit card. Yeah, I'm gonna show you the YouTube video for auto scaling service.
Elastic Compute Service in US Silicon Valley Zone B with IP address for public. There's a private IP, the pay-as-you-go model. And using this, I also have created a custom image which will be using while creating your auto scaling. I created a server load balancer with the name test ELB with a public IP address. I also added the instance into vServer group. The last one, I also pre-created RDS DB instance in the same region and zone as to both instances and SLB. So all three SLB instance, RDS DB instance are residing in the same region and zone. Now let's go ahead and work on auto scaling. So I access products and click on auto scaling. First one is to create a scaling group. Give a name as scale group 1. The maximum number of instances which I want to scale out, I'm putting as 2. Minimum is 1. Default cooldown time is 300. During this cooldown, the scaling group will not execute any other scaling activities after the previous scaling activity is executed. Removal policies is referred when the scaling activity happens. It needs to understand which of the ECS needs to be removed. So it will follow either of these policies. The first one is earliest created instance. Second one is most created instance. The last one is earliest created instance using scaling configuration. These are the default values which is updated here. The network type in which I want to launch my scaling group, I'm choosing the default VPC. I choose a switch in which I want to have my configuration done. I can add in multiple V switches if required, and I can also choose the policy which I want to use for auto scaling, whether I want to choose priority, in which it is going to add or remove ECS instances depending on the specified vSwitches based on order which you have mentioned there. You can also define based on distribution balance across different zones. The last one is cost optimization based on whether the ECS instances were launched using preemptible or pay as you go. Whichever is cheaper, it is going to add on those. Now, let me also add in my SLB. I want to add my RDS instance to be part of the auto scaling group. Add it here. And now I click on OK, the first step. Now, going further, we will click on create now. And now I need to update the launch configuration details. So for test purpose, I'm going to use an entry level shared burstable type T5, which gives a specification of 1 vCPU, 0.5 gigabit RAM, and zero point 0.1 gigabits per second network. I choose a custom image for in here, and I auto scale demo is my custom image. System disk is 40 GB. Assign a public IP. This is the default bandwidth. To allow any communication happen on the instances, I allow the firewall port, the default given here. I click on select. Review. I give a name. Scaling 1. And I'm giving weight as 50. And I click on create. And now click on enable configuration. I click on confirm. So I'm all set with my configuration. Is also confirming whether do you want to enable the scaling group right now. Yes, I want to enable it. I click on confirm. Now it's enabled. Next one is and to define the scaling rules. Scaling rules I define when do I want to scale up. So let me put as rule number 2, for example, and I choose add one instance. A cooldown time period, give 60 seconds in here. I click on create scaling rule. This is done. Now let me go ahead and execute this. I click on confirm. I click OK. Now let's see what is happening. So I go back to my ECS now. It is configuring the scaling group. We'll also go and observe what is happening to your ECS instances. And now you see that we had only one before, it's created one more, which is your minimum instances. Now let us create a scheduled task and observe, is it spinning up a new instance immediately? So I click on auto scaling. I click on schedule task. I create a new one, task 2. And I want to run right away, so I choose today's right now date, time. Just give in here and choose the scaling group rule, which is created here, and I give 60 seconds in here and click on OK. Now let me refresh this. Just created the task. Let's wait for 2 minutes and we'll see whether it creates your ECS instance automatically. So I'm refreshing my screen. Yes, now we see that a new ECS instance is coming up because this was defined in the schedule task. So this is a small demo how your auto scaling works. Now once it is going to come in and later you want to delete it, you can again go on to auto scaling and delete your groups in here. This is how you delete. For some time do not want to use it, you can also choose disable. You can also use event triggered tracks with your auto scaling. Let me again go back and check in the status now. What is coming now? Now let me clean up and go to auto scaling here and I choose here and click on delete, confirm, and it's going to terminate all my instances which got created. So this was the small demo which I want to talk about auto scaling. Thanks a lot.
Okay, that's it for the demonstration of uh how the auto scaling work. All right, thank you everyone for helping me and pay attention to my presentation. I hope you guys like it. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Sayonara.